I have $1,000 and I want to trade my way to $5,000. The question is, can I do it by day trading futures without any experience? And more importantly, can you? Well, let's find out. So, what are futures? Well, apart from being Jimmy Eat World's best album, the futures market is where you can buy and sell contracts for a commodity or security. So for commodities, you have grains, gold, oil, etc. For securities, the most popular ones to trade on the futures market are the S&P 500 futures, the NASDAQ, and the Dow. Now with futures, there are a few key things that interest me. For one, it's leveraged, meaning you borrow money from your broker and this magnifies small price movements into big profits or losses. For instance, if you're using 10-to-1 leverage, a 5% price movement would result in a 50% change in your investment. Two, the futures market runs about 24 hours a day, so you can trade just about any time. Three, futures contracts don't suffer from time decay. With options, the closer you get to expiration, the more it loses in value. Not with futures. Four, there is no pattern day trading rule with futures. With stocks and options, you can only make 3 round-trip day trades if you have an account with less than $25,000 in it. This can be tough for people who are just starting out and want to day trade, but futures contracts are not subject to this rule. So if you want to trade futures, you need a few things. The first being an education. I'm actually going to brush over that step because this video is merely for your entertainment, and I have no idea what I'm actually doing. Remember, I am not a financial professional. I'll give a brief overview of futures and how you can make money trading them, but the main part of this video is going to focus on the actual trading of futures. But the second thing you need is a futures broker. I already have a brokerage account with TD Ameritrade, and while you can trade futures on it, it's really not optimized for it. So I decided to find a brokerage that was really geared toward futures, and I went with Tradovate. Now for the most part, you will encounter commission fees when trading futures or some sort of other fee. So compare the different brokerages, their platform, and their benefits before deciding on one. So I went ahead and deposited $1,000 into my new Tradovate account and then waited 5 business days for the funds to clear. While waiting, I tried to learn as much as I could about futures trading by reading articles and watching YouTube videos, but like with most things, I really just want to dive in and actually do it to help me learn it. And just a reminder, with all types of trading, I recommend you use the demo account and paper trade until you have a good feeling, a good grasp on how to actually do it before jumping in with real money. But in my opinion, that doesn't make for a fun YouTube video, so I'm going to put real money down. Now with futures, your broker is going to want you to have a certain amount of money in your account in order to trade certain contracts. And you can usually find that on your broker's website, usually on a page called Margin Requirements. For mine, if you want to trade ES, which is the E-mini S&P 500, the most popular futures contract, you need to have at least $500 in your account. If you want to hold it overnight, which is riskier, you're going to need at least $1,000 in your account. So to see how quickly money can be gained or lost trading futures, let's take a look at the E-mini S&P 500. With futures, 1 point is comprised of smaller units of measurement called ticks, which is the price movement to the right of the decimal point. For the S&P E-mini, 1 tick is 0.25, which means there are 4 ticks in 1 point. The value of each tick will vary based on the underlying, so if you're trading something like gold or oil, those tick values will be different. Back to the S&P E-mini, each tick has a value of $12.50. Now since there are 4 ticks in a point, 4 times $12.50 equals $50. So 1 point move represents a $50 change. Now if you have a small account, you may not want to trade something that can impact the balance of your account so greatly. And for that, there are micro E-mini futures, which are more affordable. These micro contracts are 1/10 the size of the standard E-mini futures, so these are well suited for smaller accounts that still want a piece of the futures action. These contracts will have an M in front of the ticker. So if you remember, ES is the S&P E-mini, MES would be the micro S&P E-mini. Just so that we're all on the same page, I'll quickly cover the very basics of a day trade. If I am bearish on an index that I'm trading, meaning I think the price will go down, to enter the trade, I will sell a contract. And then to close the trade, I will buy the contract. Now on the flip side, if I'm bullish on an index, meaning I think the price will go up, to enter the trade, I will buy the contract. Then to close the trade, I will sell the contract. Make sense? Generally, when trading futures, you want to have levels set when you enter a trade that will exit the trade automatically when it goes in either direction. So if you enter a trade by buying and you want the price to go up, you want to be able to sell automatically once it hits a certain price target. And conversely, if the trade starts going against you, you want to be able to exit the trade automatically before you lose too much money. These levels are called your take profit and your stop loss. When you enter a trade with these levels already set automatically, it's called a bracket trade. If your take profit level hits, it'll automatically close the trade and then cancel your stop loss order. And the inverse is also true. So if a trade starts moving against you and it hits your stop loss mark, then it will close the trade for you and automatically cancel your take profit order. You can also set these levels manually or adjust them when you're in a trade. My goal starting out is to trade the first few hours of the New York session of the stock market, which here in California, the market opens at 6:30 in the morning. I want to trade when there's a lot of volume so I can make quick trades based on price action. So I'm going to start trading tomorrow morning with $1,000, and I'll check back with you then. So today was my first day trading futures on Trade-Evate. I traded very sloppily today without much structure or discipline, and it took me a while to get my settings right and just kind of get used to operating on this platform. I started with micro NASDAQ lots, which is MNQ. My first trade was 11 minutes after the market opened, selling 2 contracts. I didn't have my brackets set up correctly, so it actually closed out of the trade 1 second later for a profit of $2. Real quick, I forgot to mention if you want to see my profit and loss throughout the day, just look in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen recording and it'll show you. I tried again with another 2 contracts and it closed out 4 seconds later for a profit of $12. Accidental profit. Then I actually decided to step away from the micros and went straight to the minis, which remember are 10 times the value. There was a good amount of volatility today, which made it pretty easy to get in and out with some quick scalp plays. Watch this trade here with the NASDAQ futures in real time so you can see how quickly my trade changes value. Just look to the left of the join bid button to see the value of my open trade. So I made just over $120 in 20 seconds. It's certainly quite the adrenaline rush to see those big numbers move so fast. And it's fun when you're profitable, but when you start seeing red, then it becomes a lot harder to stay disciplined. Now near the end of the New York session, I made some trades that I definitely shouldn't have. This shows both my lack of experience and discipline, and as a result, I gave back some of my gains. Luckily, right before the end of the New York session, I made a few quick moves to regain some of my losses. I ended up finishing today with a gross profit of $664, but since I overtraded, I paid about $114 in commissions, resulting in a final net profit of $549.96. My average trade time was just 53 seconds, so you can see how quickly small moves makes a big difference. In total, I had $1,668 in profitable plays, but I had $1,004 in losing trades. So if I can develop more of a strategy and stay disciplined, I think futures may become one of my favorite ways to trade. Now, the trades I made today were just manually entered and exited, and so tonight I'm going to try to set up brackets so that I can systematically take profits and have my stop losses set before I enter a trade. Overall, it was a great first day of trading futures. I can't complain with a 55% return on my money, so I'm looking forward to trying again tomorrow. So today started off a little wonky because yet again my brackets weren't really set up right, so it took a little bit of time adjusting them to get them roughly where I wanted them. After a little morning sell-off, we had a nice uptrend on the NASDAQ, and at around 6:53 in the morning, I entered a buy order. Just less than a minute later, I closed out for a $163 profit after commissions. Within the first hour, I had over $1,000 in gross profit and about $993 after fees and commissions. So the morning went so well that I decided to call it quits before I could make any mistakes. And so my account started at just $1,000 yesterday morning and is now at $2,543.06. I still feel like I'm just getting lucky, so we'll have to see if I can maintain this over a longer period of time. It's been over a week since my last update, so let me catch you up on this day trading challenge. On Wednesday, December 23rd, it was a pretty choppy day in the market, as most Wednesdays tend to be. I knew this, and yet I continued to force trades, which I shouldn't have. After a series of bad trades, I was sitting at a gross profit of $165, but with 28 trades, commissions and fees ended up eating up over half of my profit. I decided to switch my Trade-Evate subscription plan over to their commission-free model, which is $350 per month, but with the amount of trades I've been doing, I should end up saving some money. I I ended up making a few more trades, and by the end of the trading session, I was up a total of $70 in profit. Day 4, Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, the market was open half a day, and I wasn't planning on trading much. I was up about $235 on the day, and then I was on a Zoom call with some family, and I accidentally entered a trade, and it wiped out all of my profits, and then some. It put me in the hole for $320 for the day. That was an expensive Zoom call. So that wrapped up my first week of trading. Let's go to the next. On Sunday, the futures markets open at 6 p.m. Eastern, so I decided to log in the afternoon and look for some trades. After a couple of hours, I locked in almost $450 in profit to start off the week. Monday was another good day of trading. Trade event includes Sunday on my Monday's profit and loss, so with both days combined, I netted about $800, which brought my account to over $3,000. Now here's where things took a turn. On Tuesday, I suffered some pretty big losses, and it put me in the hole $380 for the day. But I was able to chip my way back, eventually netting about $642 in profit within a little over an hour of the New York session open. Now here's where I should have called it a day and gone back to bed. But I didn't. I thought I would try to lock in some points right before market close, where there is usually a lot of volume. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned, and I gave back all of my profit and then some. I ended up finishing the day in the hole $356 and feeling like a total idiot. If I thought Tuesday went poorly, Wednesday went even worse. I was in the hole all day with practically every trade going against me. My losing trades were massive losers, and my profitable trades were small potatoes. I ended up losing over $2,000 on Wednesday, which was a huge blow to my account and also my confidence. As pissed as I was, and honestly still am, to lose that much money, especially after a week of good trading, I do think it was honestly for the best for that to happen in this video, because I think that is the most realistic outcome people can expect when doing these quick scalps on the NASDAQ without much experience. The NASDAQ moves fast and is pretty volatile compared to the S&P. I don't want you to think that you can just do what I did and make a couple $1,000s that easily, because, well, you can see what happened. I declare bank! This showcased my lack of discipline and a solid strategy, which is an easy way to lose a lot of money. Well, I wish I could tell you that Thursday was when I got things back on track and really turned things around for this challenge, but that's not the case. I dug myself further in the hole by losing $392. It just felt like every single trade went the opposite direction, so if you inversed all of my plays, you probably would have made a decent amount of money. My account is now at $381.70, so I'm very close to blowing this account for the entire challenge. The market is closed for the rest of the week due to New Year's, so I'm going to take a much needed break from losing money, and I'll come back next week and we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, the bleeding continued Sunday afternoon. I couldn't recover Monday either, so now my account is below $50, which is the minimum you need to trade a micro contract. So this challenge has been a spectacular failure. But at least you know now what not to do. Here's the thing though, I actually really enjoyed trading futures, and so I think I'm going to continue to do so moving forward. But I'm going to try to develop a more reliable trading strategy. I think relying on strong supply and demand levels for my entries and exits, instead of doing these quick momentum scalps, will be more profitable in the long term. Also, I don't think I should have jumped into those E-mini contracts so quickly with such a small account, especially the NASDAQ, which moves very fast. I'd like to build my account up to like $10,000 before trading those minis, and instead stick with the micros, so that way my account has a little bit of breathing room. So while I am personally disappointed that I lost money, I am glad that you got to see me fail, because I don't want you to have unrealistic expectations going into any type of trading, but especially futures. The way I was trading, it was going to be a get rich or get wrecked, and obviously I got wrecked. I also decided to take my own advice and do some trading on a demo account. So with just a few simple trades, I netted $468 on my $1,000 demo account. If I do get good at trading futures, I will make another video about it and share with you my strategy. Since I do feel like a failure, do me a solid and hit that thumbs up button on this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.